Hello, and welcome to the Absolute Beginner Guitar Lesson Series. My name is Oliver, and today's lesson is lesson number 7. And it's also our fourth in a series of lessons centered around notes on the B string. Hope you have your guitar out, tuned up to standard pitch. And as always, I hope that you have a notebook or a binder, or at the very minimum, a piece of paper and something to write on. And for anyone who's watched these lessons in the past that has some notes, please get those out, because we will be referring to some of the material that's in the notes, particularly the stuff that was in lesson 3. So, assuming everybody is ready to go, let's get into the lesson. So as I was saying, today is the fourth lesson and the final lesson in our series of lessons that are centered around notes on the B string. So before we start, I just want to lay out the basic parameters of what we're going to be doing. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing 3-note chords. And the 3 notes, the chords that we're going to be playing, will be using the E string, the B string, and the G string. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be using those 3 strings. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the C major chord. In the key of C, C is the 1. And because we're playing in a major key and using scale tone chords, the chord associated with the 1 is always major. But anyway, we're going to start with the C major. So the first thing we need to do is we need to locate a C root note. For simplicity's sake, we're going to start with the C major chord down here. So locate your root note C, and then I'm going to apply my open string voicing, and I have my C major chord. And that is the 1 chord, the chord associated with the C note, or the first note of the scale. So the next chord we want to play, just following right through the sheet, is going to be the D minor chord, which I'm also going to refer to as the 2 chord. So D minor is our chord. So the first thing we need to do is we need to locate our root note on the B string, and I can locate that at the 3rd fret of the B string. So I have my root note, and we have a minor chord. So now I want to apply my minor chord fingering, and we have D minor. And just as a reminder, a closed fingering, for those of you who may not know it, just means there are no open strings used. And the beauty of a closed fingering is that it is movable. As long as we maintain the relationship between the notes that we're playing, the chord will stay minor. So we can play other minor chords using the same fingering. So anyway, we're at the D minor chord. Our next chord is E minor. And the good news is we're already in a minor chord fingering. So really all we have to do is slide this chord up so that our ring finger is on the root note of the B string. So the root note is at the 5th fret. We locate that with our ring finger, and we use our minor chord voicing. And we have the E minor chord. So that brings us to the F. The F is the 4th note of the scale, and the F chord is the 4 chord. So we're at E. The first thing we need to do is locate our root note for the F. So I'm going to move my root note up to the 6th fret where the F is. But we now have a major chord. So we need to apply our major chord voicing. And now we have F major. The next chord is G major. So we're already at an F major fingering. So really all we have to do is slide our root note from the F at the 6th fret up to the G at the 8th fret on the B. And again, we apply our major chord voicing, and we have our G major chord. So those are the first 5 scale tone chords, starting with C, the root note. The next chord in the sequence is the A minor chord, or by the numbers, the 6th chord. So we're at the G major chord. Our ring finger is on the root note G at the 8th fret of the E string. So we need to go to A minor. So we need to slide our root note up from the G at the 8th fret, up a whole step to get the A at the 10th fret. But we're using a minor chord, so we need to switch to our minor chord voicing. And now we have A minor, the 6th chord. So we have one chord left that we haven't played yet, and that is the B diminished chord. And you may have noticed that I haven't showed you a fingering for the B diminished chord. And I left that out on purpose because at this point, we're not going to be using the diminished chord. The diminished chord has an unusual sound to it, and it is used in music. But depending on the style of music, it's often infrequent, I guess I'll say, that the diminished chord is used in a lot of styles of music. So I guess the point that I'm getting at is that there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of songs that we can play without ever having to play a diminished chord. So for this reason, we're not going to bother with the B diminished chord. So we're just going to be concerned with the first 6 chords. The C, starting with the C major, up through the 6th chord, which is the A minor. So that's essentially all the chords we're going to be using. However, we do have another C chord fingering that we've been using up at the 13th fret. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go from this A minor fingering, and I'm just going to skip over the B, and I'm going to go right to the C note at the 13th fret and apply the major chord fingering. And we have the C major. So that's the basic information. And honestly, all we've been doing is playing chords that you've already played. However, we're not just playing specifically major chords or minor chords. In lesson 5 and 6, we stuck to major chords and then minor chords in lesson 6 because we wanted to learn how to play those specific chords and work those up and down the neck so we could get comfortable with them. But in real music, we're going to be mixing up major and minor chords. And the scale tone chords that we just played through provide a set of chords that we can use to make music. So that's it for now. Put in your time, put in your work, and I want you to feel like you're accomplishing something, because what we've covered in these few lessons that we've done took me quite a long time to learn on my own. So that's it for now. Put in your time, put in your work, and I hope to see you back here. Peace.